You may have heard that good ramification is a desirable characteristic to have in your bonsai trees, but perhaps you don't understand what that is. If that's you, then keep watching because I'm going to explain to you exactly what ramification is, the effect that has on your bonsai trees, and I'm going to demonstrate to you exactly how to achieve great ramification and improve your bonsai trees. So let's get started. In nature, trees naturally divide and subdivide from the central trunk through the main branches and on out to the very tips of each branch, with secondary and tertiary branching. It's part of what makes for the image of an aged, mature tree. Ramification in the context of bonsai refers to the fine branching structure of a tree, where the branches divide and subdivide, creating an increasingly dense network of twigs and foliage. This results in a tree that looks mature and full, even though it's miniaturized. In bonsai, the goal is to mimic the appearance of a mature tree in a much smaller form. To achieve this, bonsai developers often work on refining the branches by encouraging the growth of secondary and tertiary branches and beyond. This creates a more intricate and detailed silhouette, enhancing the aesthetic appeal of the bonsai tree. Subdivision of branches involves the progressive splitting and bifurcation of larger branches into smaller ones. By doing this, the bonsai artist can create a more natural and aged appearance, as well as improve the overall balance and design of the tree. Trimming back to 2 buds on new growth and shoots is a technique used to encourage branching and compact growth. By limiting the number of buds, the tree focuses its energy on fewer shoots, resulting in stronger growth and better ramification. This also helps in reducing the distance between nodes, or internodes, leading to shorter spaces between branches and a denser canopy. Our aim with bonsai is to create the image of a mature tree in miniature. The most effective way to do this is to keep the internode distances small and to increase the density of branching in the smallest volume possible. The most efficient way to do this is to cut all new growth back to the first 2 new buds. This will help increase the branching from 1 to 2, from 2 to 4, from 4 to 8, and so on, in the shortest possible distance, resulting in a dense canopy in the smallest space possible. Naturally, as branches grow, they will reach out for light and try to escape the shadow of other branches above them. This will mean that branches will grow long, with internodes getting increasingly longer. Leaving these to develop will result in a leggy, unruly looking tree, not what we want at all with bonsai. Instead, by trimming and controlling the growth back to the first couple of buds on any new growth, we keep our trees compact and miniature, whilst increasing the density of branches. Some trees like hornbeam and beech develop staggered leaves that emerge on opposite sides of the branch. These trees respond well to clip and grow technique and directional pruning. By pruning just above a bud, you can select the direction of future growth in the branches. The practice I'm about to show you here is particularly effective on trees that have opposing buds, such as Japanese maples, where the buds and new leaves emerge in pairs on opposite sides of branches and new growth. This is a practice you can carry out throughout the year, but in winter you can see the structure of the tree more clearly, and you can see where the buds are emerging on the extremities and new growth. By pruning now, you prevent the tree pushing and wasting resources into unwanted growth when the tree begins to flush out in spring. If we look at this Japanese maple here, we can see that the ends of the branches have got multiple buds on there, and the growth habit of a Japanese maple is that those buds will form on opposite sides of the branch. And if we were to cut this upper portion of that branch off, what would happen is we would end up with the branch forking at that point. And that's exactly what we want to do. At this point in here, I have a couple of buds at that point, A long internode before we then come to another second pair of buds and a terminal bud on the end of the branch. And if I just cut back to that point, then the branch will subdivide at that point in the coming growing season, and hopefully the internodes between the buds on those two emerging branches will be much shorter too. And I'm just simply going around the tree and performing that same operation throughout. And this isn't a substitute for your structural pruning. This is simply trying to get the tree to subdivide. So if you have branches that are crossing, branches that are dead, branches growing straight back in towards the centre of the tree, all those kind of faults, then you would still continue to remove and prune those out of the tree. One thing to bear in mind is you might get dieback. So what you would do is you just need to cut slightly above the node, and then the branch will likely die back to the node. If you cut too close to the node itself and you get dieback, then it might die back all the way to the node, and it means that effectively you lose all of this really. So just give yourself a little bit of room, and this little bit will die back then to where the buds are. By performing this operation all the way around your tree, what you're hopefully going to get is an increase in ramification in the tree and much shorter internodes. If I show you this Japanese maple garden tree, here's an example of a branch that has just been left to grow, and what we've got is we've got quite long internodes, and you'll see that it hasn't branched off, and it will continue to grow out seeking the light. And what we want to do is we want to cut that right back. Particularly in bonsai, we want the most compact tree we can get. So by cutting at that point, that forces those two buds to then separate out and form new branches, and we get a more compact growth habit. This tree is a Japanese maple aureum, and because it's got quite large buds, despite the fact it's a garden tree, it should be useful to demonstrate the principles. And you can see, for example, here we've got a branch which has got a number of internodes, and it's got buds all along there. What would happen is if we let that grow, that'll just keep growing out. What we want is to keep this tree as compact as possible. And so what we would do is simply find the first couple of buds and cut just a little way above there to allow for dieback. And it's simply a matter of going around the tree and selecting the first two buds on each branch and each new growth. By promoting ramification and carefully managing the growth of branches, bonsai enthusiasts can create trees that are not only aesthetically pleasing, but also exhibit the mature characteristics of their full-size counterparts in nature, but in a much smaller form.